Fellowship and Scholarship Advising, which is the office that promotes national scholarships and helps students apply for national scholarships. So next slide, please. So one question people have are, what are national scholarships? And they are, some of them are probably awards that you may have heard of before, like the Fulbright Award. Sometimes people have heard of that, the Rhodes Scholarship, but there are a number of awards that may be less familiar to you. And Eric, when you were talking, remind me, there's something called the Legacy Award that I want to bring up to you. So sometimes there's things that are a little more niche or that may not be as well known, but they can be really great fits for students. And so part of our role is to make those better known on campus and to find students who are fits for them and to help students find awards that are good fits for them and facilitate those applications. So national awards are external to SU, which means that the applicant pool is national, and it does mean that they're more competitive because of that. They're typically merit-based. They can fund undergraduate and more commonly actually graduate study. They can also fund graduate or professional school abroad or independent research opportunities abroad. Sometimes they also fund placements, like an opportunity to teach English abroad or to do some kind of work with a nonprofit abroad. That's another type of national fellowship. And beyond those kinds of benefits, the other thing national awards tend to do is place you in a network of fellow leaders and scholars who normally, it's an award that has a mission and you're aligned with that mission too. So it introduces you to people who share your goals, and that network can be just as important as the other things the award provides. Next slide, please. These are just some photos of some recent students who've won national awards. On the left, we have Laurel White, who was named an astronaut scholar actually 2 years in a row, and she was given an actual astronaut as a mentor. So that's a very interesting outcome of an award. They don't all provide that. She's a physics student, and she's headed to graduate school in astrophysics. So that's an example of a kind of a niche award. On the right is a student who won a critical language scholarship to Turkey to study Turkish. In 2019, the State Department wasn't sending folks to Turkey, so she actually went to Azerbaijan to learn Turkish. And then actually after that award, she went on to win a Fulbright to Turkey, which has now been deferred, but hopefully she will be going next year. And then some of you may recognize Zach Watson, do I have that right, Lauren? Is it Zach Watson? Who applied for a Gilman Scholarship, which helped fund his study abroad semester in London. And Gilman is a really great award to know about if you're thinking about a semester abroad. And it's definitely an award that's interested in seeing more veterans apply. So we love to see students applying for Gilman. That award is open right now. So if you're planning to study abroad this summer, next fall, or next spring, you can apply now for any of those semesters. And we are running workshops on that. I can provide information to anybody who's interested. You also find it on our website. Next slide. So why apply for national awards? Obviously, typically the first thing people are thinking about is what does the award provide? And you have some reason you want the tuition funding or the funding to go abroad or whatever it is the award offers. And obviously that's important. But we also like to emphasize that the application process itself is really valuable for students. Because to apply, you have to write a personal statement, you usually have to get a resume together, you need to get recommendation letters. In some cases, you'll be interviewed. And the work that goes into preparing for all of that is really clarifying personally. And it also usually provides you with materials that you can use in other situations. So even if you don't win the award, the work you did putting together those materials will be useful when you go to apply for a job or to graduate school or the next time you have an interview. So the process helps you clarify your academic and professional interests and goals. It helps you develop relationships with mentors because you need to ask for recommendation letters and usually build your relationship with your mentors, and that's always a good thing to do. develops your writing skills. And you'll notice I also emphasize rewriting, because anyone who's worked with me will tell you we do many drafts. It's never just one draft. So getting used to revising and polishing your work is important. And again, interview skills. Next slide. Some qualities that national scholarships tend to be looking for in applicants: strong academic record in a challenging curriculum. Now, that doesn't necessarily have to be a perfect 4.0. There are some awards that really are kind of only accessible for students above a 3.8, but there are many other awards that have a broader understanding of what academic success looks like. But typically they are all looking for evidence of academic commitment and willingness to take a challenging curriculum. And also things like students who have a track record with seeking out independent experiences like research experiences or internship, ways that they can get hands-on experience putting what they're learning in the classroom to use in the world. Also, strong applicants seek and develop leadership skills. And sometimes students think when I'm saying that we're only looking for students who are presidents of a club or organization, and that can certainly be a leadership experience, but there are a lot of other ways to be a leader. And I think student veterans know that better than anybody else. So when we're talking about leadership, we mean more that you don't just participate, but that you find ways to make change. So you're looking for maybe a gap or a hole that you can fill, or there's a problem that you can solve, and you're the kind of person who takes the initiative to do that. Also looking for sustained involvement with whatever group or organization you're working with, so that it's not just something you've done once, but something that you're committed to. And again, I think veterans have a pretty good sense of what commitment looks like. Have clear goals and a broad perspective. So sometimes this, what we want to emphasize for candidates, if you're working in a particular field, that you have a deep sense of your field, and that while you're in college, it's great to take advantage of things like guest lecturers and talks, follow journals, and really come to know your field and know who the leaders in your field are. And then also try to get a global perspective on the issues that you care about. Sometimes make sure you're taking foreign language courses, that you're interacting with people who bring a broad perspective to the issues that you're interested in, that you seek out coursework that will give you that kind of background. And then finally, strong applicants have support from mentors and advisors. So I'm sure you get this advice all the time, but it's really important to seek out mentors, and Syracuse is full of people who are eager to help you, to hear your story, and to help you think about what the next steps are. So especially if you find someone who's working on or interested in the things that you're working on, they can give you really good guidance, and those people can be really important for applications, both scholarship applications, but also like graduate school or job applications. Next slide. Student veterans can be particularly strong candidates for national awards, I found, because you tend to have leadership experience and a really good understanding of what leadership looks like, a very real and demonstrated commitment to public service. You usually already have global awareness, clear goals. You're here, you've returned to college because you have an idea about what you want to do next. Maturity, drive, and resilience. And those are all things that national scholarships are looking for. Next slide. So I want to encourage everyone to keep your eye out for opportunities. It's a challenge. We do a lot of things, like we have an Instagram account. We try to post things on our website. I reach out through various organizations on campus. But one of the main ways we try to reach students is through email, which I know isn't your preferred way always of getting information. But if you're interested in national scholarships, just be sure you're checking your email and you're responding to opportunities. Also, we often send things out to faculty and to staff members to also so that they can help us flag students who are good candidates. So be checking in with your mentors and advisors. And if you know you're interested in a particular scholarship, let my office know, even if it's months ahead of when the application will be due. I have a meeting tomorrow with a student who's planning a Fulbright application. That'll be due in October, so that's pretty early, but this is just a preliminary meeting and she's getting on my radar. And that can be an important thing to do. We can help you get prepared well in advance. And then also we know that you're planning to apply, and then we know to remind you about that. Next slide. So some opportunities, as Lauren said, I'm going to talk a bit about Tillman because it's February and it's Tillman month, but I also wanted to highlight some other awards that we'd like student veterans to be aware of. So Critical Language Scholarship, the award I was talking about earlier in the slide, that funds students for an intensive, immersive summer experience to learn a critical need language. So if you have an interest in that, it's fully funded. It's a really amazing opportunity. Gilman Scholarship, which funds study abroad. The Mount Vernon Leadership Fellowship, which is for sophomores specifically, and it's for students interested in making a difference in their community on a broad range of issues. And you can propose a project you want to work on, and then you're at Mount Vernon outside of Washington, D.C. with a lot of leaders from civic and government organizations who give you really amazing guidance on implementing your project. Nsf Research Experiences. So if you're a STEM student and you want to get experience in a lab over the summer, the NSF funds that. We have NSF, they're called REUs, Research Experience for Undergrads. We fund some of those here at Syracuse. There's also opportunities to go to other labs at other universities, and there's a big database of options for that. And those are coming due right now, so there's still a few of those open to apply to. DAAD RISE, which is a similar kind of thing to an REU, but it's funded by the German government. And so you would go work in a lab in Germany. You do not need to speak German. So those are very cool opportunities. The Udall Scholarship, which is for students committed to the environment. There's sort of two tracks to Udall. Students committed to environmental work and conservation and sustainability. And then the other track is Native American students who are interested in tribal policy. The Truman Scholarship, which is the premier award for public service, that's for juniors. PPIA is a fully funded summer experience for anyone interested in getting additional training in public policy. We just found out we had 2 students selected for that this year. One will be going to Berkeley on a kind of pre-law public policy immersive experience, and the other is going to Carnegie Mellon doing, I think somebody here was saying they're interested in data science and data work, and she's doing policy and data work at Carnegie Mellon this summer. The Bourne Scholarship funds intensive language learning for up to a year abroad. It's very generously funded. You do have to commit to work for the government for at least a year after a Bourne. That's funded by the Department of Defense. And then the Fulbright Awards, which fund a wide array of things. Independent research abroad, opportunities to teach abroad, opportunities to go to grad school abroad, and they work with 151 different countries. And we run a really robust Fulbright application process every year. We're going to be doing information sessions in the next couple months on the next cycle of Fulbright. Those will come due in the fall. You would apply your senior year or as an alum. And that's a thing I really want to stress. If an award is open to students after graduation, we work with alums. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We also just found out yesterday that we have been named nationally as a Fulbright top producing institution, which was a sort of a secret goal of mine for a while. So I was very excited when that news came in. So we're really kind of pushing our Fulbright program for the coming year. Next slide, I'm going to talk about Tillman. So I think you're all probably familiar with the Tillman Scholars Program, and we are a university partner with Tillman Scholars. The award is open only for a month. So it opens on February 1st and closes on February 28th. So it's a quick turnaround, and they expect people to get on the ball and get their application materials together. Tillman's mission is to unite and empower remarkable military service members, veterans, and spouses as the next generation of public and private sector leaders committed to service beyond self. So Tillman will award students in all different fields. They're looking for leaders and people with ideas and drive to change things and make the world better in the spirit of Pat Tillman. It is a tuition award. It will fund either undergraduate or graduate. It will fund one degree. They also provide leadership training and mentoring and a really tremendous network that you'll be linked in with as a Tillman Scholar. Next slide. Their selection criteria are service, scholarship, humble leadership, so that you're selflessly committed to leading by example, and potential for impact. So that's where the leadership with a plan to really make a difference, to change something or initiate something. That's part of their criteria. Next slide. There are 2 essays for the Tillman Scholar application. And then this year there's an optional 3rd essay to talk if you need to explain how COVID maybe impacted your application, like if there was something you were supposed to have done last summer that would have been a substantive part of your application and it got canceled or delayed, that's a space you could talk about that. The other essays are the same as they've been in previous years. Essay 1 asks you to discuss your motivation and decision to serve in the military, how that changed your life and your ambitions, and what is the most important lesson you learned during your training or service. And then actually let's talk about both essays and then I'll sort of talk about them in the aggregate. Essay 2, next slide, Lauren, thanks. Essay 2 asks you to share your academic and career goals. How will you incorporate the experiences, so what you would have talked about in essay 1, from the military into your goals? How do you intend to continue to serve others in your community? How will you make an impact through your career and continued service? So I think it's useful to think about this. It is 2 parts, but they should be coherent and linked. And essay 1 really is an opportunity to talk about your past, your experiences. What motivated you to enlist? What did you learn in the military? What were your takeaways? And then essay 2 is more future looking. What academic program are you in? What degree are you getting? And then what do you want to do with that? How will that degree prepare you for your community and make a difference? And I've done a session specifically on essays and essay writing. And I think, Lauren, that's available, right, for students who are looking for that.
Yeah, it's on our videos page.
So there's more detail there. And also the Tillman website is terrific and has all kinds of supporting materials and tips and advice. So there's a lot of support for you in this. Next slide. One big reminder, don't go it alone, not with any of these applications. You do have folks on campus to support you, both your mentors and advisors, and also our office. You will produce stronger essays if you leave yourself time to write and revise, and if you seek out feedback and help. So that's what we're here for. Please just make sure there's enough time where we can do that. So just reach out. You can email me directly. You can email sifsa@syr.edu. On our website, we have a registration form. There are lots of ways to get in touch, and you'll find we respond quickly. Next slide. So yeah, and there's the contact information. So I think that's I tried to keep it kind of brief. That's a general overview of what we do in the office and briefly about Tillman. So any questions? Oh, before I forget, Eric, so when you were talking, I thought about an award called the Legacy Award. It's run by the foundation of the Pan Am 103 victims, and it's $2,000 toward graduate study in a field that is related to national security. So you said you just started a graduate program, is that right?
I started last year, but yeah, I'm doing the engineering management master's.
And you said did you also say you're working still in some?
I am working currently. I work at the nuclear power plant out of Oswego.
If your work has any connection to national security and is your program going to last beyond the coming year?
I might be done in December. It all depends on how the courses. So it's a new program for the online stuff. So it's still kind of like a work in progress for how they're giving out courses. But it looks like it might be done in December.
Okay, well, if you're interested, I can inquire about, I think it's generally set up for the typical academic year, but it may be still something that would be an option. And it's certainly, $2,000 never hurts. So the deadline is the 26th. So it's been extended by a week. So that's coming up, but there's an example of kind of a niche specific award that, you might not know about otherwise, but it might be something to look into. And I'll be happy to talk to you after this session. That's useful. Any questions? Any comments?
Feel free, if anybody doesn't want to speak up, you can leave questions in the chat. And I know Jolyn, I think I can speak for Jolyn when I say if you have questions later, you can always reach out to her too. She's here to help you guys. So if you do have questions about whether it's Tillman or any other national scholarship, definitely reach out to the SIFSA team. But thank you, Jolyn, so much for coming to talk to us. I know, especially during the month of February, we always like to have you come talk to us, especially to talk about Tillman. I'm going to go around the room really quickly and see if anybody else has any announcements or anything they wanted to chat about. I think, Dan, are you still just listening in? Okay, so for PAVE, I don't think there's any major announcements. I know soon we're going to have to start recruiting. Okay, soon we're going to have to start recruiting for next semester for pretty much the entire team. So we'll be getting out some information about that if anybody's interested in working with the PAVE team, being a peer advisor, or even leading as a team leader. So Dan and I will work on getting that information out to you. OVS team, I don't know if you guys have a designated speaker, but if any of you have any announcements, feel free to jump in.
Nothing in particular, Lauren. Just I know ad drop is coming up on the end of our time frame. So if any adjustments are being made in your schedule, you don't need to fill out another request for certification form. Just reach out to our general office email and then we can adjust your schedule from there. It's not something that ages like fine wine. The longer you wait, the worse it gets. So reach out to us as soon as possible.
Great, thanks, Carrie. Jennifer, do you have anything for career services?
Yeah, hi everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for everyone who was able to make the call today and learn more about the Tillman Scholarship. I think it's a great opportunity. Make sure you are, promoting that out to your peers as well and sharing that with the SVO. For upcoming events, I do have a webinar next Friday. It's with our new software vendor, PurePost, which allows you to do several things, but one of them which is to create a resume that translates your military experience based on every branch, occupation, and every rank. And you can do so within 10 minutes. So you can have a full resume. It's pretty spectacular software package. And they've also included civilian occupations in there as well. And within those bullets, it will do an assessment of the strength of the bullets and pull out all the competencies and strengths that you can use in order to promote out and highlight in your cover letters or on the top of your resumes and your LinkedIn profile, et cetera. So it just really helps you put the connection together from competencies to bullets and how the strength is there. So it's a really great resource. Also coming up is, again, the Sba Conferences this weekend. I really want to highly encourage everyone to attend. This is an opportunity not only to connect with each other, but to hear from subject matter experts in a variety of fields and industries. It is, as of right now, it's a free registration. The $99 fee is waived by the gracious donors of sponsors. And alumni are also encouraged to register as well, and their registration fee is also waived. If you do submit your resume into the SVA portal, you are going to receive a t-shirt. So if you want one of those coveted SVA t-shirts, go right ahead and upload your resume. And if you don't have a resume, as I just noted before, go on Pure Post and you can get one pretty quickly and use that for the conference. And as I noted before, the student veterans, our SVO, is a finalist for chapter of the year. So if you can't make the breakout sessions, try to make out the award ceremony at the very least, so you can help cheer on our SVO. I do have some other programs coming up in the near future, just ironing out some details. So just watch out for those. And also, this is Career Week. It's not really Career Week this year. It's more like Career Weeks. So because of our current virtual environment, the schedule is pretty dynamic and spread out for the next month and a half. So if you are interested in career fairs, I would suggest going on to Handshake, and you can see a listing of career fairs as well as events and internship opportunities and interview sessions. And also you can see a different employer information sessions as well. So lots going on. Just make sure you stay engaged and read your emails and connect on social media. And that's it for me.
Great, thank you so much, Jennifer. And if anybody is interested, it's just studentveterans.org. And you can go to their programs tab and there's a registration right there. And like Jennifer said, it is free for students and alumni right now to register. So if you have a little bit of time on Friday or Saturday, definitely register and attend the SVA National Conference. Hopefully we can have even more at the virtual conference than we've had at the in-person conference, which we've usually had quite a few. Is there anybody, Ron, was there anything that I know you missed the beginning of the portion, but any updates from your end on OVMA?
No, Lauren, nothing on my end. I just thanks everybody who presented today and gave updates. We certainly appreciate it. And, you know, I can't overemphasize what Jennifer said about NatCon. If you do have the opportunity this Friday and Saturday, especially our new student veterans who just arrived here, you know, in the fall and spring semesters, absolutely amazing session for 2 days. Ideally, love to be down in sunny Orlando, Florida, you know, taking this in, you know, live, but nonetheless, a lot of great sessions, a lot of great information and opportunities that come out of NatCon. But other than that, I don't have anything. Again, thanks everybody.
Thank you. And I know you just had one student join us, and I apologize because our presenter already finished, but we did have Jolynn Parker from SIFSA, and she was here talking about scholarships, national scholarships in particular, focused a lot on Tillman Scholarship because it is Tillman Scholarship Month. The applications are due on the 28th. So if you have any questions, you can always reach out to Jolynn. Jolynn is the best email, the CIFSA, it's cfsa@syr.edu.
Yep. Or you can email me directly, jmpark02@syr.edu. Either way, it will get to me. So
great, thank you so much. I'll just open it up one more time. If anybody has any last minute announcements.
Just if you do participate in any events, whether it be NatCon this weekend or any other events within the communities, make sure you're taking pictures and you're sharing those on social media and tagging the SVO and or the OVMA social media handles. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Jennifer. All right, well, thanks so much for joining us today. I know it's hard midweek to jump on another Zoom call when you're in the middle of your Zoom classes, but I appreciate it. And if anybody has any questions at all, you can always reach out to us at vma@syr.edu, and we'll be here. But thanks again for joining us. Have a wonderful rest of your week.